Hello student, welcome back for the course of MBA Semester 4 International Human Resource Management. Today is our lecture number 13, 14 and 15 and we are going to have a discussion on other cross-cultural theories. Okay, so in the last session we talk about hypostatic cross-cultural dimension theories. So in this session we are going to discuss about the other cross-cultural theories. So the primary objective of our today's session is help to understand the concepts which are being related with the different cross-cultural theories. So contents of our today's session are other cross-cultural theories that we are going to discuss today, wherever we are going to talk about the different cross-cultural theories. The second theory in our syllabus is Kluckhohn-Stuttgart cultural criteria theory, Hall's cultural context theory, Andre Laurent's cultural theory, Lawrence cross-culture theory, Tom Pruner's consultant cultural theories. Now all these theories as compared to the hypostate, okay, they would have some different connotations, particularly relating to the culture in the international business, okay, and how does it will be helpful in our international HRM, that has been discussed with the help of these different cross-cultural theories. So let us start the discussion with Kluckhohn-Stuttgart cultural criteria theory. So this is the Kluckhohn-Stuttgart cross-cultural theory, or it is called as cultural criteria theory. As we came to know about, okay, culture can be a measurable phenomena, okay, after the hypostate. So many researchers as well as other scientists, those who are belonging to the field of sociology, anthropology and other related aspects, they were tried to study the culture and other related issues which are being connected with the culture. Now according to this Kluckhohn-Stuttgart theory, okay, so they also tries to provide some particular form of dimension to the culture, okay. So it has been mentioned in his book, okay, Kluckhohn-Stuttgart, okay, they wrote a book that is called as Variation in the Value of Orientation in 1961, and this Kluckhohn-Stuttgart cultural orientation framework that they will produces in this book. So according to this Kluckhohn-Stuttgart cross-cultural theory, what he says about uh, that particular form of culture. So he has proposed the theory of culture based on the value orientation. Now we came to know in our prior theories, okay, culture cannot be measured directly, okay, and it should be on the basis of certain sort of dimensions. So similar form of dimension has been invented by Kluckhohn and Stuttgart, okay. So both of them, they were proposed this theory, okay, that is based on the some sort of value orientation, okay. So cultural values will exist because of this value orientation, okay, and why that will exist in the society, okay, they will be argued in the different sense. So they told that, okay, there are limited number of problems that are common to all the human groups, any sort of human beings, okay, those who are living in the society, they will handle the different types of problems, but all these problems are limited in number, okay, and for which they are limited number of solutions, and all these problems, okay, are of limited solutions, but that different cultures have different preferences among them. Now, whatever form of problem exists, there will be a solution, okay? But that solution will exist due to preferences in different nation or different societies according to what form of different culture they are in. So, human beings, those who are living in different culture, they will handle their problems with the help of effective solution according to, okay, whatever form of different culture exist, okay, and they will prefer to solve this problem according to their own different cultural preferences. So they were also suggested, okay, Kluckhan stood back also suggested that values in any given society are distributed in a way that creates a dominant value system. Okay, here we are generally adopting the values, okay, in many cases we will find out, okay, whatever culture that exists in power, mostly people tries to follow it, okay. So they were also suggested that, okay, given societies are distributed in a way that creates a dominant value system. So whatever form of dominant culture exists, okay, in that particular society, so people will move further, okay, along with that other societal members, and they tries to be a part of the society and follow the rules and regulation as well as socio-cultural norms of that dominant culture. So that is the theory of that Kluckhohn stood back cultural criteria theory. Let us have some further discussion on the same theory using some different dimensions. Now, how does that Kluckhohn Studback has conducted this research? So, okay, so they were used an anthropological theories to identify five value orientation, four of which are later tested in five subculture of American Southwest countries. Okay, so they were define the this model, okay, or we will call as a value orientation, or we call it as the model, okay. So they were used these five dimensions, and these five dimensions can be studied in some different parts of the world, okay. Specifically those are belonging to American Southwest countries. So two countries are belonging to Native American tribes. One belong to Hispanic village, okay. Another is Mormon village, and farming village for Anglo American homesteaders. Those are living in that particular society. So they Kluckhohn and Studback has selected nearly these five countries, okay, or wherever they will identify some different subcultures over there under this study. So Kluckhohn and Studback and their research associate identified total six basic cultural orientation with two or three possible variations in each. So while conducting this research, okay, they will analyze what form of socio-cultural values, okay, that exist in this society, along with the subculture that exists in this society, okay. They were investigated along with six basic cultural orientation. So what are that six basic cultural orientation? Let us discuss further. Now this is called as the six value orientation. So any particular member of the society, wherever that research has been conducted, and they were analyzed that most of the societal members believe this value orientation, okay, depending on what form of self culture exists. So we will find out that, okay, the first value orientation would be relationship to nature, time orientation, basic human nature, activity orientation, relationship among the people, and space orientation. Now any member, those who are belonging to that particular society, they do behave in a particular fashion and tries to communicate with the other societal members, but there would be some little variation that exists, okay, due to subculture, okay, which was mentioned by Kluckhohn and Studback using this six value orientation, okay. So this six value orientation belongs to Kluckhohn and Studback cross-cultural theory. So let us have the discussion on this value orientation, relationship to nature. Okay, how does people they belong to the different subculture in the society, and how does that they will believe the relationship with nature, are called as relationship to the nature. So people they are looking to have more and more sophisticated ways to communicate directly or indirectly, and how does that they will believe, okay, with respect to the socio cultural values, okay, depending on that, okay, they do perform their activities in different sense according to what form of subculture exists. So people have a need or duty to control or master nature, okay. So people, those who are having some higher status, okay, or they do want to control on others, so they will use some sort of dominations, okay. Those who are being surrendering themselves to other people, okay, that is called as subjugation, okay, that they submit to the nature and they could not go beyond that, okay, or to work together with the nature to maintain the harmony and balance. So some of you that you will also find, okay, there are some people, those who are being associated with their natural activity, and they do try to promote the relationship, okay, in a very harmonious way. So this will be called as relationship to nature. Then orientation to time, okay. Even there are some people, those who are having some different attitude towards the time. People should make decisions with respect to tradition and events in the past or events in the present or future, okay. So depending on the priorities, what does was happened during the past, present or future circumstances, okay, they do have different time orientation according to Kluckhohn and Studback. Belief about human nature, okay. Lastly, human beings uh, are nothing but the wanting animals over here, okay, and they would be sometimes behave in a very indifferent way. So we need to understand the overall behavior on the basis of using some belief system. People are inherently good, evil, or a mixture of both. So how does people will react to the situation, okay, that primarily depend on, okay, how does would be their primarily belief. So it is the basic human nature of the any individual person, okay. Some of you would be getting angry very easily, some of you could not. So that depends on, okay, how does that you are believing in that particular form of communication. That depends on the individual society and what form of subculture exists in that particular society. Nature of human activity, sometimes people do things, okay, according to whatever they are believing in that particular sense. So people should concentrate on living for the moment, okay, for being a part of that particular phenomena. So being would be there, striving for goals, or they would work for achieving the goals, and reflecting means thinking or doing, okay. In this way they do try to involve in the activity and be the part of that society or team. That's why they are being associated with the people and they tries to communicate with each other. Another form of orientation would be relationship between the people. Okay, people do try to communicate because um, uh, they they are living in the groups, and they try to have their own mutual relationship among the others. So the greatest concern and responsibility for oneself and immediate family would be individualistic. So we do find that there would be an individual goals, uh, some of you want to achieve in near future. For one's okay own group, that is defined in different way, some collateral goals would be there. So wherever whole family members will think together and they will take the decision. For one's group, that are arranged in a very rigid hierarchy, so wherever you will find that hierarchical uh, group activity would be there. Okay, wherever we try to maintain that relationship and try to ask the sort of permissions over here, and so as to achieve the individual as well as group objective. Even conception of space. Okay, when we are talking about conception of space, we do find some space orientation. Okay, people are looking for some sort of privacy, okay, in their day to day life. So the physical space that we use in private, public, or mixture of both. So wherever you are, okay, how much extent that we can enter, we can allow to enter any particular person, particularly for the purpose of communication, that also depends on some sort of value orientation. So that will be called as the orientation towards the space. So how much physical space that we will allow to speak, we will allow to negotiate. Okay, that can be a criteria. So in this way, that Gukhan stood back six value orientation will communicate. Okay, that how does the people in the society they do communicate and comes in contact with each other depending on their value orientation. Okay, sometimes there will be some sort of other subcultural values that they will make an impact on their communication processes, and we do communicate accordingly. It is the another theory that is called as Hall's cultural context theory. Okay, this theory has been given by Edward T. Hall. Okay, it is the he is the anthropologist, American anthropologist, and he has studied the socio-cultural values by means of introducing another cross-cultural theory. Okay, so he has proposed a model of culture based on some ethnographic research in several societies, notably Germany, France, US, and Japan. So he has carried out some particular form of research, okay, in four different countries, okay, and tries to produce a model of that particular culture and identifies, okay, how does the socio-cultural values exist in these societies. So his research has been primarily focused on how culture vary in interpersonal communication, particularly in groups. Okay. So, but he has also included work from personal space and time. So he has also tries to distinguish between the interpersonal communication. Okay. Besides, he also argued on, okay, how much personal space or physical space and the time preferences that individual person that gives in the process of communication, so as to fulfill the objectives. He further argued that human perception of space, although derived from the sensory apparatus that all humans share, are molded and patterned by culture. So, whenever this Halls has conducted this research, so he has also came to know that whatever form of socio-cultural values exist in the society, that are primarily governed by the perception of the space. Okay, that are being governed by the perception of the space. So how much physical distance should be there among the societal members with each other whenever they are going to involve in the process of communication, and how our sensory organs, okay, that reacts to the particular say situation, so that they can share their information, and that can be molded and patterned by socio-cultural values. So whoever the member of the society, okay, that they will think primarily their local culture, or their subculture, whatever that exists in the society, and identify how much time and space would be required while communicating with others. Now this is called as the model, Hall's cultural dimension model, and he has been analyzed with this uh, three cultural dimensions. Okay, the first one is called as context. Okay, the second one is called as space, and third one is called as time. Okay, so we do find out that how effectively we are communicating with the other societies or other societal members depending on, okay, the context, space and time. When we are talking about the context, there will be low context and high context form of communication would be there. So formal or informal way of communication would be there, and by means of using the context, that we are going to identify how extent to which the context of the message is important as the message itself. So considering the content of the message, okay, that should be get communicated within the particular society. So we do came to know, okay, there exists low context form of communication and high context form of communication. Similarly, in case of space, okay, extent to which the people are comfortable sharing the physical space with others. Okay, so here we do identify there are some particular type of people, those who are belonging to center of power and center of community, and accordingly we do keep some sort of physical distances among them, and then we tries to communicate with each other. Similarly, by means of considering the another value that is related with time, okay, extent to which people approach one task at a time or multiple tasks simultaneously. So it is the individual preferences that exist in that particular society. So we came to know that there will be a monochronic, okay, and polychronic form of concentration or attention would be there with respect to time, and they do give some particular importance to finish the activity either one at a time or more than one at a time. So let us see all these different dimensions, okay, very clearly with the help of some different examples. When we are talking about high context culture, okay, this high context culture, that will be a form of both, okay, direct verbal and non-verbal communication, but that will exhibit less direct verbal and non-verbal communication would be there, and utilizing very small communication gestures and reading more meaning into less direct messages. So societies, those are having very informal groups over there, so they do try to primarily behave in this way. So they would think more likely as a team, they do think more likely to work with the group and to achieve the group objective. So they are involved in a less formal way of communication. So there will be more informal way of communication, including body language and gestures would be there. So in high context culture, there are many countries, okay, wherever high context form of culture exists, an informal way of communication would be followed. So there are Arab countries, Greece, Japan as well as Spain, where we came to know, okay, some implicit form of communication would be there, okay, and importance of rank, status and hierarchy should be keep in mind, but they do think about to achieve the group objective. Common history and background of the social group or member should be taken into account. Sometimes there will be a frank communication or nonsense communication would be there, okay, so that they are making some sort of fun, okay, and making the environment more feasible to communicate with each other. In high context culture, emotions are being transmitted over here. Wherever they do try to inculcate the values with these other societal members, and pass on these activities further. It is sometimes quite difficult to enter in such group communication wherever many outsider person, those who are belonging to different culture, okay, they could not directly enter into their groups, so they do find some sort of difficulty to communicate with each other. Wherever in case of low context culture, okay, it is just opposite to the high context culture. So there will be a direct verbal communication in between the societal members, and whenever they needed, or whenever the need has been arises, they do communicate with each other, okay, and they are heavily communicating with each other using explicit verbal skills. So this there will be a clear cut information by means of explicit form of communication would be there in case of low context culture. We do find in certain countries, those are belonging to the low context culture. First one is Northern America, okay, common speaking countries, sorry, German speaking countries. Some other countries are being there, including some France. So there is a direct communication in between the societal members, particularly they are using some formal as well as verbal form of communication in between them. All of these are necessary information is integrated in an exchange. So whatever that they want to communicate, everything can be put either in written or oral form of communication, and they will be communicating one at a time. Exchanges are more direct, so exchange of information could take place among the societal member directly from one another, okay. So here one can find out there is no such difficulty as compared to the high context culture, and one tries to enter into the process of communication by interrupting them. So in low context and high context culture, how does that we tries to communicate with each other in different sort of culture or other nations, okay, wherever we should have to concentrate on the process of communication according to low context and high context countries. So particularly in IHRM, this high context and low context form of communication has been very important, particularly from the point of view wherever we are dealing with the expatriates. Now when we are talking about the context, okay, so here context means how effectively that you are going to transmit the information, either formal or informal way of communication. So whatever that we will seen recently in case of low context culture, okay, the majority of information is explicitly communicated in verbal messages, okay. So it has been mentioned over in case of low context culture, okay, very formal form of communication has been used. If you want to take an apology, okay, it should be clearly articulated, or we should have to mention is and apologize the particular person, okay, specifically in the group. Wherever in high context culture there is no such formal way of communication, lots of information has been embedded by means of using feeling, thoughts, okay, even by means of using your body gestures, wherever we are considering some voice tone, body language, facial expression, eye contact, speech pattern, use of silence, uh, past interactions, status and common friends. So means mainly here we are talking about some implicit way of communication by means of using either body language or gestures over here. So, in low context culture, there will be some rules and regulation. Wherever, in case of high context culture, okay, there will be fewer rules or no rules of communication would be there. Okay, whereas in high context culture, communication assumes prior relationship. We are members of the common culture, company, family, or other group. So prior relationship will be taken into account whenever we are talking about any particular member of the that particular group. Wherever in case of low context culture, okay, we can directly enter into that group. Whereas in case of high context culture, okay, if anybody knows that particular person, then and then only you can communicate with that particular person in case of high context societies. Then we are talking about the space. Okay, so how much physical space, or we call it is in terms of privacy. Okay, so it refers to the distance between the people needed for the protection of their privacy. Okay, so people tries to keep a distance from other people so as to maintain the privacy. Okay, so so we came to know about, okay, some particular form of low space or higher space has been required. Okay, so culture that need more private space and culture that need lower private space. So culture that require more private space, such kind of countries that would be mostly German countries and other nearby countries would be there. So lots of concentration has been given over here, and more physical space need to be provided while communication with other societal members. Whereas in case of the more sorry less cultural space has been required. Okay, such kind of countries that we will find out in some Mediterranean countries. So these countries are being belonging to some European nations mostly. Okay, so whenever the communication process goes among with these societal members, so how much physical space and they are living in that particular society. Wherever there is a more space has been required, okay, such kind of societies are living in living in some smaller rooms. Okay, and they are giving more physical space to them. People have distinctive places which they call mine and don't want them to disturb. So there will be a closed door policy. Nobody can directly disturb with them. Okay. So there will be a minimum in interruption and disruption in case of more private space. Okay, countries. Permission need to be asked to the specific person whenever that we try to communicate with each other, and there is no personal touch without any agreement in case of some particular countries. Wherever some countries there is a less space has been required, means more countries those who require more space, okay, they would have some more formal means of communication. Wherever culture those who require less physical space, they are using an informal way of communication. Okay, so you came to know most of the countries are Mediterranean countries, specifically European countries, wherever larger rooms would be there. Okay, manager mix with the employees and they can communicate very easily with the other employees. There will be an open door policy. Okay, particularly in HR department mostly, no problems with interruption and disruption. Private and public space not so clearly distinct. So here there is no clear cut distinction in between the public space and the private space. So anybody can enter in anybody's room and they tries to communicate with each other. Touching is more common in this society, specifically cultural values wherever they are providing less private space. Now with respect to time, Okay, we already came to know about different types of time related culture would be there. So we came to know monochronous culture and polychronous culture. Now in case of monochronous culture, people do one thing after the other. So they are very specific to one particular activity and they will finish that activity and they will conduct another activity later on whenever the first has been finished. So for which for them time is very important. Some other factors, say for example punctuality, marking, making plans, keeping those plans in for execution, okay, such kind of parameters can be very important for them. Job and work related factors could be at the top of the mind, particularly in case of monochronous culture. Those are very specific to time. More short term relationship will exist in this society and work time is very clearly separable from the personal time. So people could distinct themselves from their professional time as well as personal time, okay, in which time only you do try to communicate appropriately, nobody tries to disturb in the personal time. Wherever in case of polychronous culture, people do things simultaneously. So they will decide their own preferences whether they want to finish the first task earlier or not, or second task earlier or not. So they will decide the preferences with respect to completion of that particular activity. Time schedules are not so important in these societies. So, okay, and people are notoriously unpunctual, they do not reach on time. Okay, plans are also flexible, people are very important, okay, and they do spend more time on maintaining and building the relationships. There also exist more lifelong relationship within that particular group members. Work time is not clearly separable from the personal time, so people can come any of the time over there and they can disturb them, okay, informally to each other. So with respect to this false cultural context, okay, these three dimensions has been very important. Then the another kind of theory that is called as Andre Laurent cultural theory. Okay. Now that Andre Laurent has been also studied the uh, socio-cultural concept with respect to the process of communication in the different societies. So he has also conducted some sort of research. So Laurent has been focusing on some implicit management practices by means of using an informal way of communication, how organizational assumptions that managers are known to have rather than the national differences. So he tries to analyze, okay, the communication practices that exist among the societies, okay, and how does the individual managers, those who are belonging to the organizations, okay, they try to consider, okay, the organizational parameters at top of the mind rather than the national culture. Laurent 1986, okay, he has conducted that research in 1986 and he stated that, okay, what form of that socio-cultural context theory has been um, clearly specified, okay, in this statement. So he stated that national cultural differences cause differences in individual perception and preferences. So people are being living in the society and they do conduct the several activities. So we do find out in many of the cases national culture would be a dominant culture, okay, and that could be exist because of whatever form of differences that exist among the individuals, okay, and whatever form of perception and preferences exist, okay, among them, that will shape the organizational behavior. So whichever organization, those who are looking for to improve the organizational performance so as to improve the organizational behavior, where the organizational culture is the part of and thereof, therefore national culture should not be ignored. So in many of the circumstances they are primarily considering the socio-cultural values that exist in the society that drives the organizational behavior. But according to Laurent also consider that the national culture cannot be ignored, that will also drive the overall growth and development of the organizational behavior. So he has used four parameters. The first one is perception of the organization, authority system, role formulation system, and hierarchical system. When we are talking about such a kind of Laurent's cross-cultural theory, okay, that Laurent's cross-cultural theory that primarily drives towards the organizational objective by means of improving the organizational performance, wherever they will also consider the national culture. By means of using the Laurent's theory, okay, Laurent has conducted a very good form of research, particularly that drives the growth of the organizations by means of improving the overall performance of the organization. So they do try to focus on managerial status as well as bypassing the hierarchical order. So how frequently that managers and other subordinates, okay, they do behave accordingly, that has been primarily analyzed with the help of this Andre Laurent's Andre Laurent's cross cultural theory. So organizational culture unlikely to modify the national cultural values, okay, once the overall socio cultural values in the organization, okay, how does it will be exist among the other societal members, specifically members those who are belonging to the organization, say for example managers, okay, or their subordinates, okay, that will drive the overall national cultural values that has been specified under the Laurents. When national and organizational values are in conflict, okay, the first is likely to override the second. If there is a conflict in between the national culture as well as organizational culture, wherever the national culture will create more impact as compared to uh, on the organizational culture, okay, means organizational cultural values are drives through the national culture. So according to his research, okay, how does that they were analyzed, okay, through their managerial activity managers plan on important role in the society. How does manager being a part of that society, and how does many organizations are considering them. So if you will see in many parts of the world, okay, here various countries are being given, okay, how much importance has been given to the managerial activities. So we came to know France, Italy, and some countries like Switzerland, USA, they are giving more importance, okay, to recruit the managers across the organization so as to improve the organizational culture. Even in many of the countries, okay, those subordinate, those who are being bypassing the hierarchies, okay, and they are asking the difficulties to their managers so as to solve their day to day problems. Particularly to have an efficient work relationship, it is often necessary to bypass the hierarchical line, okay. So whether the hierarchy has been appropriately followed or not, okay, in many parts of the world you came to know that China, those who are not following the hierarchical line, okay, and they do bypass that hierarchy and try to negotiate with other people so as to communicate with each other and achieve the organizational goals. Nowadays we are moving towards more lateral form of communication using matrix organization. So in this way that Laurent's theory would work, okay, they tries to promote the organizational culture with the help of improving the organizational culture. Now Lurans has been explored that management as a process by which managers express their cultural values. He further explored some managers carry their status into activities outside the workplace and behave accordingly. Now research has been further investigated by means of using Andre Lurans, and they tries to analyze how effectively the managerial staff, okay, those who are working in the organizations, and they do behave accordingly further so as to improve the overall organizational performance. They were conclude that Andre Lurand conclude that deep-seated managerial assumptions are strongly shaped by national culture and appear insensitive in more transition culture of the organization. Now, these form of theories are quite complicated theories. Whenever it has been conducted, it has been conducted in a very indifferent way by means of conducting a huge amount of research on certain employees of the organizations, and they were tries to analyze, okay, how deeply the managerial staff that they tries to understand the importance of organizational culture that has been primarily drives by the national cultural values. Okay, so more importance has been given to the organizational culture rather than the national culture, but it doesn't mean that the national culture can be ignored. Okay, once the overall organizational culture can improve, okay, that will also drive the growth of the nation, means, okay, that also tries to improve the overall culture of the nation wherever we do tries to reflect that particular country some in some different way, okay, to the outside world. This is the last theory, that is called as Lorentz cross cultural theory. One of the very principal author and researcher and scientist, okay, P. Lorentz has tries to analyze the cross cultural aspects of the societies, particularly on the managers. So he has identified what managers perceived as being most important for their career success with the company. Okay, now organizations are recruiting the managerial staff. Recruiting the managerial staff is not an easier task for the organization. They do tries to select the appropriate type of managerial staff, okay, to perform the specific type of operations within these countries. So they were conducted some sort of research, okay, on some particular type of employees, American employees and some French as well as German employees. For American employees, ambition, drive, and pragmatic, individualistic, achievement oriented assessment system will work, or for the French, high potential and more social and political reading will work. Now whenever this research has been conducted, okay, they tries to analyze these different sort of people, managerial staff, and they came to know that what exactly drives the people towards the organizational success. Say for example, American managers, okay, they would think that, okay, ambition, drive, and their pragmatic thinking towards for solving the particular problem that drives the growth or towards the success, individual success as well as the organizational success. Wherever French employees, okay, those who are high in potential, okay, they are also more social and political towards the work, okay, they tries to define their success in their own terms. In case of German managers, okay, German managers, they will believe that creativity is one of the very essential criteria to achieve the success. As well as Britishers hold more interpersonal and subjective views towards each other. So these four different types of employees, okay, they were considered while conducting this research, and they tries to define the success individual as well as organizational success in their own terms. According to Lorange, okay, Lorange has given this model. How does the international managers or expatriates, they will view their organizations and coordinate their activities so as to achieve the success. They consider these five parameters among the international managers that must be present among them. That is called as professional competence, knowledge, communication, negotiation skills, hierarchy power relationships, means networking with other people. So that will define the overall organizational success as well as individual success. So how does this organizational culture will drive the growth of the organization? That primarily depends on from what culture the individual managers claim and what sort of parameters that they will belong. If they belong, if they are having such a kind of skills, okay, then it will be easier for any organization to achieve the organizational behavior as well as performance. The last theory would be called as Tom Pruner's consultant cultural theory. Okay, this is the last theory. Tom Pruner's, he is one of the business consultant and he has investigated these cross cultural theories in 1997. He has also proposed the model using the Tom Pruner's cultural dimensions. So there were seven cultural dimensions that he has given. So according to the Tom Pruner's, okay, he wrote one book that is called as Riding the Waves of the Culture. In that book, okay, he has mentioned that particular model, okay, 7 dimensions of culture, and this can be analyzed by means of using the management consultant Franz Tom Pruner and Charles Hampden Tanner. Both these consultants, okay, they wrote this theory in 1997. So this is the Tom Pruner's cultural dimension model. We will see this model further. Now what does that Tom Pruner's and Hampden Tanner, okay, that they has done, okay? So they has spent their many of the time on this research, nearly half means nearly 10 years that they were spent on this research, and they tries to analyze nearly 46,000 managers, those are belonging to 40 countries, and they tries to analyze the socio-cultural values by means of using some questionnaires. And what exactly that they found using this Tom Pruner's cultural consultant theory. So they found that people from different culture are not just randomly different from one another, they differ in very specific, even predictable ways. See, we are the human beings. Similarly, the managers are also, okay. Managers, those who are belonging to different culture, they are not different from one another, okay. Wherever they do differ, okay, in terms of some specific kind of values, okay, and that can be predictable on the basis of certain kind of behavior that exists among them. So all these managerial staff, those who are belonging to different nations, they came from different background and socio-cultural contexts, they do behave in a different fashion, and in some different way they will take some important decision for the organization depending on their own skill, experiences as well as knowledge. Now this is the 7 dimension of culture wherever the Tom Pruner has mentioned. Okay, this is called as universalism versus particularism, in which that we need to investigate where what is more important, whether rule or relationship. Okay, rule will be towards universalism and applicable to all. Relationship would be what particularism to achieve the individual objective. Individualism versus collectivism. Do people regard themselves primarily as an individual or as a part of the group? What exactly they will consider themselves? Whether individual are the part of the group or team. Neutral and affective. Is it better to show the emotions or to keep them hidden? Whether you are open or hidden itself while communicating to others. In terms of achievement and ascriptions, does success come from what people achieve or from what they are? Whether you will share your achievement among others or you want to keep with yourself. Specific and diffuse. How separate do people keep their private and working lives? Okay, how much physical space over here? Sequential. Do people do things sequentially or at the same time? How many tasks the individual person can perform? Whether they are performing one task at a time or multiple tasks. Internal control versus external control. Do people control their environment or are they controlled by it? Whether they will be the part of the environment, okay, or not, and accordingly the organization also. So these seven cultural dimensions will show the kind of thinking of the managerial staff and how deeply these values are being rooted among them so that they can contribute towards the organizational success that has been told by the Tompreneurs. So that is all about the cross cultural theories. Thank you very much.